I noticed it on my first week in the Philippines. It wasn't the beaches or the heat or the way everyone seemed to know everyone else. It was dinner. I was staying in a small town, the kind where tricycles outnumber cars and dogs nap in the middle of the road like they own it. One evening, just as the sun dipped low and the sky turned orange, my host family called me to eat. When I walked into the kitchen, I froze. On the table were 4 plates of rice, one small bowl of vegetables, a few pieces of fried fish, and a thin soup that smelled comforting but modest. There were 5 of us. I whispered to my host, "Is someone not eating?" She smiled like I had asked something strange. "No, we eat together." I waited for someone to say, "Oh, you're the guest, you should eat more, or we'll just snack later." But no one did. Instead, they sat down, passed the food around, and somehow made it work. Each person took a little. No one complained, no one rushed. There was laughter, teasing, and stories about the neighbor's rooster that wouldn't stop crowing. As an American, this confused me deeply. Back home, eating together usually meant abundance. Big portions, extra just in case. If there wasn't enough, someone would say, "I already ate," even if they hadn't. Food scarcity was awkward, something to hide or fix quickly. But here, eating together didn't depend on how much food was on the table. It depended on who was sitting around it. I saw it again a few days later. I was walking through the neighborhood when I heard someone shout, "Kane Teo, come eat with us." I peeked inside a house. A family of 6 was sitting on the floor, sharing rice and a single plate of chicken adobo. The invitation wasn't polite or optional. It was automatic. I tried to refuse. I said I wasn't hungry. I said I'd eaten already. I said all the American things. They laughed and made space anyway. That night, I ate maybe 3 bites. Not because they told me to limit myself, but because everyone naturally adjusted. Someone broke a piece of chicken in half. Another poured a little more soup into my bowl. It wasn't calculated. It was instinct. Over the next weeks, I began to notice patterns. Food here wasn't just fuel. It was a social glue. A way of saying, "You belong here, even if we don't have much." I visited a fisherman's home early one morning. He had just returned from the sea with a small catch. I expected him to sell it all. Instead, he cooked some and called his neighbors. By the time I arrived, the fish was already being divided. I asked him later, "Why didn't you save it for yourself?" He shrugged. "Tomorrow, maybe they have fish. Today I have." That sentence stayed with me. In many Filipino homes, there is no concept of my food once the meal starts. There is just food and people, and the understanding that eating alone while others watch is unthinkable. I thought about how different this was from how I grew up. In the US, food is often individualized. Your plate, your portion, your leftovers. Even family dinners revolve around personal preference. Someone doesn't like onions, another avoids carbs, someone else already ate. Everyone negotiates their own relationship with the meal. In the Philippines, the meal negotiates the people. I stayed with a family where the parents worked long hours and money was always tight. Some nights, dinner was just rice and soy sauce, but they still waited for everyone to come home. They still sat together. They still asked about each other's day. One evening, I offered to order food delivery. I thought I was helping. The parents exchanged a look, then smiled politely. "We're okay," the mother said. "We're together." At first, I thought this was about poverty, about making the best of little. But the more I traveled, the more I realized this wasn't just survival. It was philosophy. I saw wealthy families do the same thing. Big houses, long tables, plenty of food. Still, no one ate alone. Still, guests were invited without question. Still, the act of sharing mattered more than the menu. In one town, I met an elderly woman who cooked every day for her grandchildren. One afternoon, I asked her what she would do if there wasn't enough food. She looked at me, puzzled. "There is always enough," she said. "But what if," she interrupted me gently. "Enough is when everyone eats a little." That idea broke something in me. Or maybe fixed it. In America, enough often means satisfaction, fullness, comfort. In the Philippines, enough means fairness, inclusion, no one being left out. I attended a birthday party where the food clearly wouldn't stretch to all the guests. I expected tension. Instead, plates got smaller, rice got thinner, jokes got louder. People left smiling, not hungry. Someone told me quietly, it's embarrassing if someone doesn't eat, not embarrassing for the guest. Embarrassing for the host. That responsibility runs deep here. Feeding others isn't generosity. It's duty. There's a word Filipinos use often, bayanihan. It means community spirit, helping each other without expecting anything back. I realized that eating together is bayanihan in its simplest form. You don't need tools or money or strength, just space on your plate. One night, during a power outage, a family I barely knew invited me over. They lit candles, cooked what little they had, and told stories while mosquitoes buzzed around us. Sweat dripped down our backs. The food was plain. The moment was rich. I remember thinking, if this happened back home, everyone would retreat to their own rooms, scroll their phones, wait it out alone. Here, darkness pulled people closer. Over time, this way of eating changed me. I stopped rushing meals. I stopped measuring portions. I started noticing who hadn't eaten yet. I learned to break food instead of hoarding it. Once, I caught myself saving the best bite for last. Then I looked up and saw a child watching my plate. Without thinking, I gave it to him. He smiled like I had given him a gift. But it didn't feel like a sacrifice. It felt normal. That's the quiet power of eating together in the Philippines. It rewires you. It teaches you that food is not just about hunger. It's about connection. About saying you matter enough for me to share. Even when there's little food, there is rarely little warmth. I asked a Filipino friend why this tradition remains so strong, even as life becomes more modern and individualistic. He said, because we remember times when there was nothing. That memory lives in families, passed down not through stories, but through habits, through waiting for each other, through inviting one more person, through never eating alone if someone else is nearby. As an outsider, I came here expecting to teach, to observe, to rate. But this habit humbled me more than any breathtaking view or cultural shock. Filipinos eat together even when there's little food because together is the point. The meal is not complete without people. And people are more important than being full. Now, whenever I sit at a table anywhere in the world, I think of that first dinner. 5 people, 4 portions, 0 hesitation. And I understand something I didn't before. Abundance isn't about how much is on the table. It's about how willingly it's shared.